there exists a silent fracture running through the modern world, invisible yet devastating, splitting humanity into two distinct species. Those who understand the mathematics of compounding behavior and those who believe tomorrow will solve what today refuses to confront. And what most people fail to grasp until it's far too late is that wealth isn't built in explosive moments of genius, but in microscopic choices repeated so often they become invisible. Automated, woven into the fabric of daily existence like breathing. And in this moment, right now, someone somewhere is making a decision that will determine whether they'll be financially free in a decade or drowning in the $18. $59 trillion ocean of household debt that has become the new normal. The new cage, the new American dream turned nightmare. Welcome to Money Animate, where we excavate the uncomfortable truths about money that most people spend their entire lives running from. And if you find value in what unfolds here, consider subscribing, because the algorithms reward attention, and attention creates access to more people who need to hear what the financial establishment doesn't want them to understand. The average household now carries $104,755 in debt, a number so large it becomes meaningless, until you realize that's the cumulative weight of mortgages designed to extract wealth over 30 years. Student loans that promised upward mobility but delivered economic imprisonment, and credit cards that charge 24% interest while savings accounts off 0.5%. A mathematical rigging so devastating at keeping the masses exactly where the system needs them. Productive, desperate, docile. But there exists a counter-strategy. Not revolutionary in its components, but in its consistency. A series of micro-habits so small they feel meaningless in isolation, yet so powerful in aggregation, they can pull someone from the undertow of modern economic reality into the rare air of genuine financial autonomy. The first fracture point happens in the allocation of hours. Most people consume more than they create, spending their evenings scroll-deep in algorithmic content designed to hijack dopamine systems. While the statistical minority, the 67% of wealthy individuals who watch 1 hour or less of television daily, spend those same hours building, learning, creating value that the market will eventually reward, and the cold mathematics here are unforgiving. 15 minutes a day redirected from consumption to creation equals 91 hours per year. 910 hours per decade, the equivalent of 22 full work weeks invested in building something that creates optionality. And optionality is the only true wealth because money in a bank account is just stored options. The ability to say no to jobs that destroy your soul, relationships that drain your energy, living situations that crush your spirit. The second divergence appears in social architecture, the 5 people you spend the most time with, a cliché so overused it's lost its teeth. Yet neuroscience confirms what ancient wisdom always knew. Mirror neurons fire when observing others. The brain literally mimics the thought patterns of those in proximity, meaning if you're surrounded by people who normalize debt or mock financial planning, you're not just socially influenced, but neurologically reprogrammed. And for those without access to rooms where millionaires discuss strategies, the internet provides a proxy circle. Podcasts, books, channels, the digital construction of a peer group that normalizes behaviors the immediate environment considers strange. The third mechanism is evidence architecture. The systematic documentation of every micro-victory, every moment fear was confronted and conquered, because human psychology is wired for recency bias and negativity bias, meaning the default mental state overwrites progress with problems, so the practice becomes simple. Record everything, the first dollar earned from something created, the first automated transfer that proves the system works, and over time this evidence file becomes proof of possibility, neurological evidence that growth is real, that change is achievable. The fourth transformation emerges from systematic gratitude, which sounds like self-help nonsense until you understand the neurochemistry. The brain cannot simultaneously occupy states of gratitude and anxiety, meaning a daily practice of identifying specific positive elements creates a fundamental shift from scarcity consciousness to abundance consciousness. And this isn't metaphysical wishful thinking, but practical psychology, because scarcity consciousness makes terrible financial decisions, while abundance consciousness enables calculated risk, long-term thinking, the ability to invest today's comfort for tomorrow's freedom. The fifth fracture point arrives in automation architecture, the systematic removal of willpower from the wealth-building equation. Because willpower is finite, decision fatigue destroys discipline, meaning any financial system that requires daily conscious choice will fail. So the solution is brutally simple. Automate everything possible. Set up transfers that move money from checking to savings to investment accounts before consciousness even registers the funds exist. And Warren Buffett's inversion, spend what's left after saving and investing, becomes effortless not through superior discipline, but through superior systems. The sixth mechanism is specificity architecture, the transformation of vague intention into concrete target, because the human brain cannot optimize for ambiguity. It needs coordinates, milestones, measurable waypoints. So, save more money generates zero neural activation, while save $30,000 for a down payment by December 2027 creates a clear target that the unconscious mind can work backward from. And this granular specificity transforms abstract future goals into concrete present actions. The seventh transformation requires relentless auditing of three spending categories: fundamental, which represents survival needs; fun, which represents lifestyle choices; and future, which represents investments in capability and optionality. And most people never consciously examine these categories, spending 80% on survival, 19% on lifestyle, and 1% on future. But wealth is built by inverting these ratios gradually over time, systematically increasing future allocation from 1% to 5% to 10% to 20%, recognizing that a 25-year-old who invests 20% of income will likely retire a decade earlier than one who invests 10%. The eighth discipline is weekly financial education. 1 hour per week dedicated to understanding how money actually works, learning about tax optimization strategies, understanding compound interest, recognizing that a 401k match is an immediate 100% return, studying behavioral finance to understand why humans make predictably irrational money decisions. And each hour invested in financial literacy generates returns that multiply across decades, because knowledge creates capability, and capability creates confidence, and confidence enables action. The ninth liberation is the systematic destruction of opinion sensitivity, the recognition that most people's judgments about your financial choices reflect their own insecurities rather than any objective assessment of your strategy. And the question to ask when someone criticizes your frugality is simple. In the grand scheme of my life goals, how important is this person's opinion? And usually the answer is not at all. The 10th understanding is recognizing the yes trap, the deep social conditioning that saying yes signals goodness while saying no triggers guilt. But the mathematics are brutal. Every yes to something non-essential is an implicit no to something essential. So the liberation comes from getting crystalline clear on priorities so that every request can be filtered through a simple test. Does this move me toward my goals or away from them? And if away, the answer becomes an easy no. The 11th principle is self-investment, the recognition that the highest returning asset isn't real estate or cryptocurrency, but the development of skills, capabilities, and knowledge that increase earning power. Because a course that costs $500 but teaches skills that increase income by $10,000 annually generates a 20x return in year one and infinite returns in perpetuity. The 12th strategy is income diversification, the systematic construction of multiple revenue streams so that financial survival doesn't depend on a single employer's continued goodwill. Because in an era of AI disruption and automation, job security is mythology. The social contract is void. So the only security is capability and optionality. And this doesn't mean starting 5 businesses simultaneously, but rather mastering one income stream until it's stable, then gradually adding others. The 13th principle is simplification, the recognition that decision fatigue destroys discipline. So the systematic removal of unnecessary decisions through automation and standardization creates the psychological space for the decisions that actually matter. And this is why successful people wear the same outfit daily, not because they lack creativity, but because choosing clothes wastes decision-making capacity better allocated to strategy and problem-solving. The 14th transformation is intentional networking, not superficial business card exchanges, but the strategic cultivation of relationships with people who are where you want to be. And this doesn't mean transactional manipulation, but genuine value exchange, reaching out not with asks, but with offers, understanding that relationships compound like investments, and that a single connection at the right time can unlock opportunities that no amount of solo grinding could access. The 15th principle is pre-readiness action, The recognition that confidence follows action rather than preceding it. That waiting until you feel ready means waiting forever, because the feeling never comes. So the practice becomes taking the first step before feeling ready, because momentum generates motivation rather than the reverse. And someone who takes imperfect action will outperform someone who plans perfect action, because markets reward presence and iteration, not preparation and theorizing. The 16th strategy is conversational normalization of financial topics, breaking the bizarre cultural taboo that makes discussing salaries and investment strategies somehow more inappropriate than discussing politics or religion. And this silence serves only those who benefit from information asymmetry. So the practice becomes asking open-ended questions casually. I've been thinking about budgeting lately. How do you manage yours? And these conversations create peer learning, reveal blind spots, normalize behaviors the broader culture considers weird, like tracking spending or prioritizing financial independence over lifestyle inflation. The 17th and final mechanism is the 1% progress rule, the commitment to improving financial position by just 1% each month, which sounds trivial until the mathematics reveal otherwise. 1% monthly improvement compounds to 7% annual improvement, which over a decade creates a 230% total improvement, meaning someone who earns $50,000 and applies 1% monthly optimization ends up at $165,000 in purchasing power within 10 years. And this isn't hypothetical but mathematical inevitability if the discipline holds. What emerges from this architecture of microhabits isn't just wealth in the financial sense, but wealth in the temporal sense, the emotional sense, the psychological sense, the ability to wake without alarm clocks, to pursue projects because they're meaningful rather than monetizable, to say no without guilt, to take risks without catastrophic downside. And this is the true compounding that wealth enables. Not the accumulation of zeros in account balances, but the expansion of possibility space. The transformation of life from a series of obligations into a series of choices. And the brutal irony is that this future is available to almost anyone willing to accept present discomfort, to delay gratification, to optimize for decades rather than weekends. Yet most people will never access it because the micro-habits feel too small to matter, and the macro results feel too distant to motivate, and the culture screams constantly that happiness comes from consumption, not creation, from lifestyle, not discipline, from appearing wealthy, not becoming wealthy. And so the masses remain exactly where the system needs them: productive, indebted, dependent, working until physical capacity fails, while a small percentage who understood the mathematics, who trusted the compound effect, who built the habits when they felt meaningless and maintained them when results were invisible, gradually drift into a different reality, a different economic class, a different relationship with time and money and possibility. And the distance between these two futures is measured not in dramatic moments, but in quiet disciplines. Not in explosive changes, but in incremental improvements. Not in what someone does when motivated, but in what systems they build to operate when motivation fails. Because motivation is weather, and discipline is climate, and wealth is built by those who understand the difference and construct their financial lives accordingly. And if you've reached this point, if these words have created even the smallest shift in perception, then consider this your inflection point. The moment where trajectory can change, where the micro-habits that will define your next decade can begin. Not tomorrow when you feel ready, but today while the insight is fresh. Because there will never be a perfect moment, but there is this moment, and what you do with it will compound either into regret or reward, either into freedom or dependence, either into a life where money serves you or a life where you serve money, and the choice belongs entirely to you. So choose carefully and commit completely, because the mathematics are unforgiving, but also impartial. They work for anyone willing to trust the process long enough to see the results. And in 10 years, you'll either wish you had started today or be grateful that you did. And that's the thing about compound effects. They work backward through time, transforming present discipline into future gratitude. But only if the work begins now, only if the first step happens today. Only if you decide that comfort delayed is freedom earned, and that your future self deserves the gift of decisions your present self is willing to make. So if this resonated, if you want more explorations of financial reality that most content won't touch, then stay connected with this channel. Not as passive consumption, but as active implementation, because knowledge without action is just entertainment, and we've had enough entertainment. What's needed now is transformation.